across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good evening to you. It is Petrie here with you indeed for the next 3 hours, and that includes, of course, from midnight till 1 o'clock, where we'll be having our phone in. It's a full hour of you being able to talk back, and because this is my last show of this week, I'm back next week, but this is my last show of this week, so I'm not here on the Friday to cover the year of Labour. So I wanted to do it tomorrow morning. So that's what I want to talk about. Is one question that I'm really interested in is: are there any Labour supporters still left? Is there anybody who is still a Labour supporter, whether it be in principle or whether you like some of the things that they've done? I mean, like I was saying to Kevin, there are some good things that this government has done. There are. But they're so hidden in this sort of self-harm, this incredible ability to punch themselves in the face, that anything good that they've done, and this is a real issue for them, anything good that they've done has been swept away. It has been swept away by a lack of communication. Morgan Swinney, his Keir Starmer's advisory group of boys, they're known as the Boys Club, they've really steered him in the wrong direction. He's having to flip-flop because he doesn't believe in anything. It has been an absolute disaster for him, but I am interested to know if there are any Labour supporters left, or were you a Labour supporter? Did you vote for this government? And where do you stand now on what it's doing? And do you see this as a year of chaos? I mean, I'm not convinced that Keir Starmer will see another. I think he'll be gone next year from Prime Minister. I think he will probably resign. I just can't see him surviving for the full 5 years, and I can't see Labour. All of these politicians just want to survive and keep their jobs, and if they think that Keir Starmer is a block to that, they're going to get rid of him. They are ruthless. I mean, they're not quite as ruthless as the Tories, but they are ruthless nonetheless. So let's talk about that at midnight. So please do give me a call. And, you know, point to me why it is you've changed your allegiance. Maybe you are now heading towards reform, and that's because of what Labour has done or not done. So let's talk about that at midnight. 03444 991 1000, and you can message me as well. The number is 87222. If you put the word talk up front, it comes through to the studio. So those are the ways of getting in touch. Before that, going through Thursday's newspapers is Claire Muldoon. She will be here to go through those for you. Before that, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward is here telling us about what fun you can have outdoors. Well, what entertainment you can have outdoors, basically, I hope. I hope the brief was that. Anyway, also we're going to be looking at gadgets with our gadget guru, Fevzi Turkout. So all of that is to come. But first, we saw it on Truth Social. That's where we see all of Donald Trump's musings, particularly in the middle of the night. But late last night, US President Donald Trump said that Israel had agreed to the necessary conditions to finalise a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, warning Hamas that it must accept the deal or risk worsening conditions. Now, I don't know who briefed Donald Trump on this, but all of the stuff that I've looked at since that statement was made has said that actually Israel has not changed its position in the war. So, and Gaza also, Hamas also doesn't appear to have changed their position. So where this ceasefire is going to come from, I'm not entirely sure. The military group, though, has said it was open to an agreement, but insisted that any deal, Hamas wants this to be the absolute end, not a 60-day ceasefire, but a complete ceasefire towards the end of the war. Benjamin Netanyahu wants 60 days for political reasons. So let's talk to Scott Lucas now, international politics professor and founder and editor of EA World View. Hello, it's so lovely to see you. Thank you very much indeed for agreeing to talk to me, Scott. I can't see really that this announcement is anything fresh. Is Donald Trump just trying to push this along without really knowing the details?
Yes. I mean, Petrie, we can talk about Donald Trump's motives. I mean, the fundamental here is he wants the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
That is a factor. But I think the important thing maybe, for your viewers and for your listeners is, where are we beyond Trump putting out what is a wish? I wish there was a ceasefire. And you've summarized part of it very well. We had talks earlier at the start of this year, and we did get a phase 1 ceasefire for 6 weeks. Thank goodness. But at the start of phase 2, at the start of March, Israel, and it was primarily Israel, said, no, we don't want to continue with this. And they resumed not only the mass killings in Gaza, they imposed the blockade on all humanitarian aid, which threatens almost everyone, more than 2.2 million people in Gaza, with starvation, with lack of shelter, with lack of medical care. And the reason for that was the fundamental difference that you put down there, and that is that Hamas says, we'll accept a ceasefire, but we do not want to return to Israeli military operations, and we do not want a long-term Israeli occupation, and we want to remain in Gaza. The Netanyahu government, on the other hand, does not want Hamas to remain in Gaza. Netanyahu repeated today that he wants to destroy Hamas. They do not want to have their hands tied on whether or not they can return to military operations, and they have a plan which is for a long-term military occupation, for 4 military zones in Gaza, effectively West Bank 2.0, West Bank on steroids. Now, you cannot reconcile those two positions. What has happened today, in light of the Trump announcement, is once again the U.S. envoy, Steve Witkoff, the real estate developer, is going around with a framework that could set the terms for talks. Hamas says it's open to talking, but they have these conditions. The Netanyahu government tonight is considering whether they will go into talks and what conditions they would set upon this. And this all comes a few days before Benjamin Netanyahu goes to Washington.
I mean, nobody's going to say this isn't a complicated situation, right? But there are interested parties here that are not interested so much in a peace as they are in their own career. You've got Benjamin Netanyahu, and it's widely believed that the reason he's saying only 60 days of a ceasefire, which Hamas want it to be, permanent towards peace, is because of the right-wingers in his government, that he will lose control of the government if he agrees to basically fundamentally an end to this war, that he will lose his position, and that seems to be so blatant a move on his part that even the idea of getting the hostages back or anything else, it almost seems secondary to Netanyahu's wish to hold on to power.
Let's preface this by saying that Hamas also have their own motives.
Yeah, of course.
They would like to remain in power in Gaza, right? Not only to stay in Gaza, they'd like to be part of making the decisions there. But you're absolutely right on Netanyahu. Without trying to read his mind, there are two fundamental facts here. Netanyahu staked his political career on destroying Hamas and on getting the hostages back. 20 months later, Hamas has not been destroyed, and there are about 50 hostages, either dead or alive, that are still in Gaza. If this war was to end now, Netanyahu would face early elections, and if they go the way the polls indicate, he would lose those elections. So he would lose not only the prime minister's position, probably his political career, and secondly, there is an ongoing bribery trial, a serious trial in which Netanyahu would face a possible prison sentence. That trial is being held up now And Netanyahu got a decision this week where he doesn't have to testify for another week or two because of the ongoing situation. Now, if the ongoing situation ended, that trial would resume. So yes, Benjamin Netanyahu has got a personal stake here. And I hate to say it, but it is one that doesn't argue for calling for a ceasefire immediately.
Exactly.
I'll add one interesting fact, which has just come out of Israel, which is the poll that was taken today of Israelis, is that only 40% of Israelis trust Benjamin Netanyahu. That's versus about 67% for the head of his military, and more than 50% for other political leaders in the country.
And this is the thing, isn't it? So he's got his wishes, and if he doesn't manage to get those final hostages, dead or alive, back, then his popularity is going to fall even further. And if he's seen to capitulate to Hamas, then he will, if he agrees to the terms that Hamas have set, then he'll fall even further than that. So he stands no chance. But with Hamas, they're not likely to release these hostages until they've got an assurance that there's an end to this war, because that is that's their cards, right? Those are the cards they've got. That's why they're hanging on to them. That's why they haven't returned them, because as soon as they do, they've got no bargaining chips.
No, and that term, I know we're not using it to be cynical in that we know what these hostages are going through, but that is the reality here, that Hamas loses leverage if they return the hostages without getting something in return. Now, the additional factor, which you mentioned, and we should expand on this as well, is that there are some hard-right ministers in the Netanyahu government whose priority is not the return of the hostages. No. I'm speaking specifically about the National Security Minister, Mr. Ben-Gvir, and the Finance Minister, Mr. Smotrich. They have said repeatedly that they will not accept a ceasefire, that they want to maintain not only the fight against Hamas, they would like the removal of a large percentage of the Gazan population. As long as they are within the government, it's going to be very difficult for Netanyahu to advance in talks towards a ceasefire, which is a way of saying that the risk beyond everything else is that Hamas risks being eliminated by Israeli military action, but the Israeli government risks falling because of divisions inside of it.
It almost seems that the more I talk about this, and particularly with you, the harder it is to understand what it was Donald Trump was talking about, or where he was briefed, or as we've already said, he wants the Nobel Peace Prize, but still it seems as far away as ever in terms of any formal agreement, and that's not even mentioning the future of the Gaza Strip. We know that Donald Trump wants to build on there. He wants to remove everybody. He did. We don't know where he stands on that right now, right? Because he hasn't really talked about it for a while. But what happens next? Let's say that Donald Trump gets his wish, and there is a ceasefire, and maybe it leads to peace. What on earth happens next?
Well, see, you get a ceasefire, but you don't know it leads to peace.
True.
Petrie, let's play out possibilities here. Right. One possibility is you go the route that some Israeli ministers want and that Donald Trump proposed, which is that you remove, let's say, half of the Gazan population, 1 million people, and you put them in camps around the Middle East. One of the reasons why we are where in 2025 is because in 1948, when the State of Israel was created, there were hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who were displaced.
Yeah.
They have millions of descendants who are still in camps. Now, that situation has never been resolved. You're not going to resolve it by displacing more people. That's just a starting point. Let's say, however, that we talk about the fact that people accept, no, Gazans have to live in their country, right? And they have to live with a chance of something better. Then you have to talk about the chances of, well, who's the administration there? Yeah. Now, Israel's not going to accept Hamas as an administration. The alternative of the Palestinian Authority, who is the administration of the West Bank, is challenging because let's say they're a bit economically suspect in the way that they've run the West Bank. Their leaders are not popular amongst Palestinians in the West Bank, let alone Gaza. Let's say you try to look for an alternative that Arab states could come in and run the Gaza Strip temporarily. They don't want to do that because then they put themselves at risk of arising against them. If I was playing this out, Petrie, in an ideal world, you would go to Palestinians who have campaigned for not just years, but for decades for a civil society, not Hamas, not the Palestinian Authority. I'm talking about women's rights activists. I'm talking about young activists. I'm talking about activists for a responsible democratic system. And the problem here is that a lot of those activists have been ostracized or worse by Hamas, and a lot of them have been put in prison by Israel. You have got to get out of that situation where we get beyond the short term of ceasefire or not to try to get something which is lasting stability in Palestine. That isn't easy. But I'm going to say something else provocative for all your viewers out there, and I'm going to put it out there. Earlier this year, there were some European governments, there are about 9 now in the European Union, who have recognized the state of Palestine. Most of the world recognizes the state of Palestine. The country in which I live, Ireland, was one of the countries who did that. I think that is an important symbolic step, that not for Hamas, not for jihadists, if you want to use this term, for the sake of Palestinians who want a better future, you have got to put the marker down now that you recognize the state of Palestine. If you do not do that, you do not establish the space where at some point we finally get a two-state solution and people on both sides of the border can live in security and hopefully one day will pass for peace.
Can a two-state solution ever work? I mean, Israel again have been talking about. I mean, they seem to be clearing areas, whether that's for a buffer zone or to build a casino. I don't know, but you know, they seem to be doing that at the moment. But it hasn't worked thus far. You've got a lot of the Middle Eastern states who do recognise that the two-state solution is the only solution, right? It's the only really real way forward. What's going to make that work this time?
You have to go step by step because have moved further away from it. And for those who can't say it can't be done, that was certainly the hope of the 1990s. If you talk about the Oslo process that started with a handshake between Israeli and Palestinian leaders. Yeah. But that got undone. It was revived in 2009, where the hope under the Obama administration, not to get a Nobel Peace Prize, although he did get one unjustly, but not for that hope, genuinely hoping that you could get that two-state solution, but it was blocked by Benjamin Netanyahu. It was blocked by Benjamin Netanyahu, and it was also not possible because Palestine is divided. Palestine was divided between the West Bank, ruled by the Palestinian Authority, and Gaza, ruled by Hamas. I said almost 20 months ago, Petrie, in October of 2023, and I'm not saying this to say I was right, I'm just saying it, I put it out there. You will not get a solution to the immediate open-ended war in Gaza until Benjamin Netanyahu leaves power and Hamas leave power. And if you cannot get a ceasefire that is a lasting ceasefire, you cannot get to this point that we're talking about, which is the two-state solution. It is possible, but you need hard decisions amongst the international community, which is stop propping up the Netanyahu government if it does not want to move to a ceasefire. And of course, don't prop up Hamas if it rejects that ceasefire.
Just before I let you go, talking of Hamas, we know they've been proxies of Iran. Iran now, it seems, is somewhat distracted. But can Hamas and groups like that still rely on Iran for their funding, for their support going forward?
I'm going to say something which may surprise a lot of viewers, Petrie, but that's not actually the situation as it stands. Hamas and Iran have been at a distance from each other. Now, they are kind of cooperative, but it is not the case that Hamas has really been fully funded by Iran. In fact, it's not largely funded by Iran. Iran does support other groups who are armed groups in Palestine that are not as well known in Gaza, such as Islamic Jihad. The major funder of Hamas is Qatar, the Gulf state, which is actually the broker for the attempted ceasefire talks. That's where you have a number of the Hamas leaders who live in Qatar, including their political leadership.
Wow.
After the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, their political leader in Tehran. And that is where Hamas has gotten a lot of support. I'm going to say something else that's very surprising as well. In 2021, Benjamin Netanyahu supported easing economic restrictions, which gave space to Hamas. Why did he do that? Because he saw the chief threat, because he didn't really want a two-state solution, being the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. So just simply saying Hamas and Iran are linked together, it simplifies what is a much more complex situation. And that's important to note, because some people jump to the conclusion that because Iran has been weakened by Israel's 12-day war, that will make it easier for Israel to defeat Hamas. Indeed, that is precisely what the far-right ministers, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, said when they agreed to the ceasefire. Now we can refocus on Hamas, not by getting to a ceasefire, but by hitting Gaza and Gazans even harder.
I mean, the whole region is so complex, isn't it? Again, just finally, Scott, who's going to rebuild again, leaping forward? It fascinates me as to know who is going to, because it's decimated, right? There's nothing left.
Yeah.
Who pays for that? Who rebuilds that?
Not Donald Trump with the Trump Tower,
and not Israel.
and not Israel.
No.
I mean, this is actually, of anything, this is actually the easier answer to make.
Okay.
The economic one is easier than the political one, which is if you got a ceasefire and then if Israel would lift the blockade. I'll give you a model, which was in the 1990s. After what was a 15-year Lebanese civil war, you had a period in Lebanon at the start of the 21st century where a lot of Gulf money went into Lebanon to rebuild it. Those people have been fortunate to go to Beirut. It's a gorgeous city. There was an entire modern development along the old Green Line, which is where the fighting was between the different communities. The man behind it was a man named Rafi Hariri, a Lebanese businessman who brought in the Saudis, brought in the other Gulf states. But you know what happened in Lebanon? Politics got in the way. Rafi Hariri was assassinated in 2005. The money is there to rebuild Gaza. The money is there for recovery, and there's an interest amongst the Gulf states to do that, but they won't take the political lead. They'll take the economic lead, and they're relying on others to hand them a political solution, which we don't have on the horizon at the moment.
Absolutely fascinating, Scott. I would love to sit one day with you, and I don't know if you drink, but a bottle of scotch and just keep talking, because I absolutely love it. Scott Lucas, thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant. International politics professor and founder and editor of EA Worldview. Quick break, back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock, and it's also competition time. We're giving you the chance to win a pair of Oasis tickets in Manchester on July the 19th. We'll also put you up in a hotel and give you £5 grand. So it's a good prize. Here's all the information you need on how to enter.
On iArcade, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland, for the chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and £5 grand spending money. Text the word WIN to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP. To arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a TalkSport limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Good luck, yeah? Sorted.
Yeah, good luck with that, but get on to it quickly because it's getting close, isn't it? July 19th. Good heavens. Right, coming up is the phone-in at midnight, and we're talking about a year of a Labour government, which means we've got another 4 to go. But anyway, I want to know if after this year there are still any Labour voters out there. I want to know if you would give them another chance, or if you think, what did I do? Why did I give them a chance? Why did I vote for them? I mean, look, I know why you voted for them, right? I do know why you voted for them, because people have forgotten how shambolic. Well, our memories are very short politically. The shambles of the Tory government. I mean, come on, it was just ridiculous, wasn't it? I mean, you didn't even know who was Prime Minister from one day to the next. It was an absolute mess. And we've forgotten that, and we're looking at the Labour government now, and yes, there's been chaos, but it's all been self-inflicted, hasn't it? They've all just punched themselves in the face. And then seem quite surprised by the act of punching themselves in the face. So I don't quite get it. But it has been chaos. There has been some good stuff. I mean, there has. I'll go through it later, remind you. But it's been so buried under this sort of act of self-harm that all people can see is the negatives. And it's hard to have any faith in a government, really, when you've got the Chancellor in tears. I mean, poor thing. Prime Minister's question time. So it's hard to have faith in that. It's hard to think, oh yeah, they know what they're doing. They're onto it. So I want to know if there's anybody out there still intent on being a Labour supporter, or whether you think this isn't really Labour. I want to know if you do see it as chaos, or I don't know. I just want to get a gauge, really, because there's no Labour supporters left apparently anywhere in the country. So I'm going to try and see if I can find one or two. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000, and you can message me on 87222.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie. Coming up we have Muldoon at the top of the hour. She's going to be going through the newspapers, and just before that, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward will be here to tell us about what we can get up to in the outdoors, and we're going to keep it clean. Before that, though, it's Go Gadget, because Fevzi Turkout joins me now, editor of the GadgetDetective.com and host of the Gadget Detective podcast. Hello, Fevzi, how are you?
Evening. Very well, thank you. Spiffing.
Good. I'm very glad to hear it. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some of the gadgets you've got for us. And there is a bit of a theme, I noticed, which is rather helpful for me.
Yeah, it's just accidental. It's not like I planned it, you know. So the first gadget is unusual in terms of the brand. It's a brand called Agfa Photo. And my granddad was a professional photographer, and he used to shoot Agfa black and white film and so forth. The brand name has come back, but with a modern product this time. It's a product called the Really Move MC3X, and I'll show it to you here. It's a camera,
right,
a digital video camera and still camera, but it's got a built-in gimbal. So a gimbal is a device that keeps the camera still. In this case, in 3 degrees of freedom, 3 axes. So if you jog it up and down, left and right, or forward, it will still keep the picture rock steady.
Oh, wow.
So even though your smartphone camera has stabilization built into it, if you walk with it, it will be very clear that you're walking. Whereas if you walk with this, it will be silky smooth. So you can walk, you can run, you will get relatively smooth pictures out of it. It will shoot in 4K. Full 4K resolution. The little screen that you see there is a 3.5-inch screen, and you can see it flips into a horizontal position as well. So you can either shoot, conventional widescreen, or you can have it vertically mounted if you're shooting something, say, for social media. It will also do still photos, has Wi-Fi built into it, so that once you've shot the film, you don't have to take out the SD card. It comes with a micro SD card, but you can put in a micro SD card up to 0.5 terabyte, which is huge and plenty. So that's a nice thing to have, but you don't have to fiddle around with the card. You can just transfer the footage, and you can see that it comes with a little hard carrying case as well. The price on this is quite interesting, because these sorts of devices up till now cost just short of £500. This one is just short of 300. I think it's 299, and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the £500 one, but it's £200 cheaper. So I think for a lot of people, this is doable. And also, the sort of hidden benefit of this is that it leaves your smartphone free, so it doesn't kill your battery if you shoot video on it and you've got no smartphone for the rest of the day. And also, your recordings don't get truncated by an incoming call, which can happen if you forget to put it on sort of silent, do not disturb mode. An incoming call completely mess you up. I'm having to be very careful. I'm speaking to you via an iPhone at the moment, so I put it on do not disturb, mute everything. There are still circumstances where this thing could still ring, and it frightens me. So having something like this, which is separate, I think is very nice. And just under 300, I think it's pretty good. And I think it's quite cool. I mean, maybe just people my age, but I think it's quite cool to have something by Agfa Photo. I think that's kind of nice.
It's interesting, though, because we've all got our cameras on our phones now. I wonder how many people do have a separate camera. But I guess, like you said, social media content providers, creators, you can imagine them just going up that step and using something like this.
But also for vlogging. So if you're holding out the camera arm's length, walking down the road, spouting your wisdom, you want something stable. And a lot of people are using mirrorless cameras, which start at about £500, and then they're mounting it on a chunky gimbal, which weighs almost as much as the camera, and then they're going to try and hold it at arm's length. And I don't quite have the muscle for that. But this one I can carry with ease. And I think that's a really good use if you like to chase your kids and video them whilst they're running away from you or anything like that, or you're on a boat or a bicycle or anything like that. It's fantastic. And it will provide several hours of runtime for recording as well. So it's a good sized battery built into it.
Yeah,
so
it's
I
really
like
cool.
it.
Yeah.
I've given it 4 stars out of 5. Moving
very
on,
good.
we have a mains charger unit called an Anker Prime charger. So Anker is the brand, spelled Anker. And I'll show you, I've got it here. This is one I bought with my own money. You can't really see very well. It's a bit bigger than a deck of playing cards. Yeah. And along here, it's a bit dark, but there's 6 charging ports, USB charging ports. 4 of them are USB-C and 2 of the legacy USB-A connectors. Now, what's special about this? First of all, it can output a total charging power of 200 watts, which is huge. Yeah, oh, there you go. You see, it's almost like it was planned. So, and what's nice about that is any one of these USB-C ports, they're all the same, unlike on competitors' units. Any one of them can output 100 watts on its own. So in theory, if you had just 2 devices connected, you could have 100 watts each. So that would do a rapid recharge of a large power bank, or if you've got quite a meaty laptop computer or something else that draws a lot of current, you can charge 2 of those at once. Or you could split the 200 watts across up to 6 items and charge 6 things at once. So I really like this. I bought this for, I think it was about £70. It's now £60, £59.99. But there's something quite unusual. If you go onto Amazon today, I don't know when this offer finishes. I think it's when their stocks finish. If you look carefully, you can also have a pair of free headphones, which are these wireless ones from Soundcore.
Wow.
These normally sell for £30. So now, for £60, you can essentially get a pair of headphones that's worth £30, and they are worth that. Actually, I would pay up to £50 for this. They can't challenge something, say a pair of headphones for £100, but say £30 to £50, they're equally easily good enough. They do Bluetooth, they're a modern version of Bluetooth, but a really nice feature is they're also able to take a cord, a 3.5mm cable. So if you want the best possible quality, because with Bluetooth headphones, the audio is compressed. So you do get some reduction in quality, you get convenience, but they are compressed. So £59.99 for the charger and for the headphones, which I think is a bargain.
That is a bargain. Get free headphones.
Well, you know, like I buy things when it's rude not to. So I've now just ordered a second one of these, and the headphones will now come in cream, so I can be colour coordinated.
to match your sartorial elegance.
You know, I'm a slave to fashion.
You are a slave to fashion, and that is a really good deal, actually.
Yeah, it is a bargain, and my experience of these deals, so it's a bit tricky. You've got to just be careful. Don't put it straight in the basket. Click on the special offer link, and then there's 2 categories on the left. One's that trigger the offer, and the other category is what you can get free. So what you can get free is the headphones, as I say, in cream. There are a number of other Anker products that will also trigger the same offer of free headphones, but I like this the best because one of the other items is like £130 and you still get the same headphones with it. Here the deal becomes much better because effectively the freebie is worth more than half of the value of the charger itself. And the charger is nice. This is my one. I had to unplug it from various things just so I could show it to you, but I do love it. So moving on, there's a brand called Aqara, which is spelled Aqara, and they make Internet of Things smart devices for your homes. And one of the things they make, which a lot of people are not yet familiar with, are smart locks typically for your front door, but can be pretty much any door. So what is a smart lock? A smart lock is something that can be locked and unlocked remotely, typically using your smartphone. It's also one where you can use it via many different smart devices as well. So you can set it up with Alexa, or Google Home, and all these, or even Apple devices as well. So it's very flexible. So you can unlock the door when you approach the door with your smartphone, or it can actually detect your smartphone and unlock for you. And the other thing that you can do is, if you've got a person who maybe isn't that mobile, can't get to the door very quickly or at all, this is very useful. Now, this is called the Aqara U200 Lite. So the letter U 200 Lite. Now, this costs about £128. It's just been released, and the Lite tells you it's the cut down version of this, which is the U200. This is its big brother. This normally sells for almost double the amount. So normally the U200 Lite would be a no-brainer, I would say. However, Amazon have Amazon Prime Day, which lasts for about 3 days. I think it's from the 8th to the 11th of July, so it's just a few days away. I'm not sure if I'm meant to tell you this because it might be under embargo, in which case I'll be burned, but I don't want to not share this. The non-light version, which normally costs about double, is about to be reduced to, I think, about £167,
Wow.
there or thereabout. So it's going to be £40 more. And what do you get for it? Well, the first thing is, you can see in the picture, can you see there's a numeric keypad?
Yes.
So you can set code. There's also a fingerprint reader on it, so you can lock and unlock using your fingerprint. It's also got timer control. So let's say you've got someone that needs to visit your house at a particular time every week, say a cleaner, or in your case, your butler.
Yeah.
So what you can do is, you can not only give them a code, but make it so the code only works during, say, a 1 hour or 2 hour window,
wow.
whatever it is. So it adds to your security. And it's not just people that are slow on their feet. I get a lot of couriers, as you may imagine. The courier waits an average of 40 seconds. And because I live in a palatial home, even though I'm a sprinter, I'm very fast on my feet, despite my advancing years. Sometimes I miss them, because 40 seconds later I'm at the door and they've gone.
Yeah.
In 40 seconds they've written the "We're so sorry we missed you" slip and beggared off. So something like this is great as well. I mean, a video doorbell can do the same job. You can just ask them to wait. But the thing about video doorbells is there is often a lag of quite a few seconds on it, even 10 seconds sometimes, between when they press it, when you know, and then when you can speak to them. So that's not always a good solution. So I would say that the Lite is a really good deal if you don't need those extra bells and whistles that we've mentioned.
And I mean, that does sound absolutely brilliant. Or wait for the big brother to come up in the Amazon.
Yeah.
The Amazon
and I've got the Amazon deal price list. I do think it's embargoed, but I just didn't feel very honest about telling you to buy this and then next one is.
I won't tell anyone. Don't worry. Febsy, thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you. I wish we had longer. Febsy Turk out there, the editor of the GadgetDetective.com and host of the Gadget Detective podcast. What a great bit of advice that was. Stay where you are. Timmy is next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie here until 1 o'clock, and coming up at the top of the hour is Claire Muldoon. She'll be here to go through the newspapers for Thursday. First though, Timmy Alexis Carrington-Ward, broadcaster and host of the Here She Is show on YouTube. Hello dear.
Hello, how are your puppies?
They're great, thank you. And I also have to say that I was very worried when I saw the title of this, Summer Outdoor Fun.
Well, you know I was arrested for that.
I know, that's what concerned me.
Petrie, you look like a toothpaste tonight, don't you?
Yeah, downward stripes. They're supposed to be slimming, dear. You should try it.
Not working.
It's not working. No.
Exactly. Oh, Petrie, why don't you curl your hair a bit?
I'm thinking about doing that. Why don't you grow yours a bit? Oh, you can't.
I bought this hair.
I know you did. Cost a lot of money. Right, tell me about the some of the because we've got the summer here now, and boy, have we got the summer here now. So a lot of people heading outside for outdoor theatres and concerts and things like that. What have you got for us?
First of all, because I know what you're like, when you do go to these, you can't go. You know, when I came round and you were just in your bikini.
Yeah.
You can't go. You have to dress up still, even though it's outdoors. So. Sorry about that.
Well, I only had the top. I only had the top on. That was the problem.
Know that. And going back to your puppies. By the way, Petrie has got two dogs, haven't you?
I do have one.
How
puppy.
are they?
They're very well, thank you.
What do you want to know?
I want to know what I can do outdoors that won't get me arrested.
Okay, I mean, the boring side of life. Okay, right, what we have got. Let's go for the obvious first, shall we? Regent's Park Open Air Theatre. Okay, have you ever been?
Holland Park, you mean?
No, I said Regent's Park.
Regent's Park.
What you want?
Oh, yeah, no, Regent's Park, yes, I have. I have when I was a kid. I think we went to see, I can't remember, something with my dad. Peter Pan or something.
Oh, okay. Well, I went to see Into the Woods with Hannah Waddingham playing the witch.
Amazing.
And it was on such a beautiful summer's night. And just to have it, obviously it's in the title, it's a Stephen Sondheim, but it's Into the Woods. So having all of that around and above the theatre and everything was just so magical.
It's a totally different experience, isn't it? Just to sit in an outdoor theatre and watch something. It's lovely.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. They've just finished with Shucked there, which has come over from Broadway, but we have got, starting, it's on the 2nd of August till the 20th of September, they've got Brigadoon. Do you know Brigadoon?
Yes, I do. Isn't it like the world that comes by every 200 years or something?
Yeah, exactly. Like your boyfriend.
Yeah. Sad but true.
But also, what's happening there is they've got some day things going on. For obviously, it's summer holidays, so you've got your kids and things. Well, you haven't, because he's old and he'd be embarrassed you take him. But anyway, we've got Roald Dahl's Enormous Crocodile, which is from the 15th till the 7th, and this is and we've got also morning and afternoon. They cross over, so that shows in the evening, but you can go with your kids during the day for that. Do you like that?
I do. It's very good.
And we've also got Noughts and Crosses that's going to be on there, which is by Malari Blackman. Do you know her? Anyway, and that's from that's till the 26th of July. So that's
Regent's Park.
You can do kiddie winks during the day, and you can take them to the night because it's child friendly, isn't it? Brigadoon.
And it's such a magical place. It really is so magical to go to that.
Although you going without your bikini bottoms, it was cold.
It was cold. The Holland Park Opera as well. I've been to a couple of these out because I used to really love going to these outdoor performances. That's another one that is lovely.
There's lots of operas and ballets there during the summer month. They close during the winter because they haven't got a roof. And I think that's quite topical because now hasn't Wimbledon got a roof?
It has, yeah.
Which we say a lot about all these, because going back to Regent's Park, they have to, there's sort of like a rain check, and if there's so much rain, they just stop the show. I had a friend in the show there last, and she wore glasses as a character, and she's trying to do her scene, and it's just getting and she said, I just couldn't see through my glasses.
I mean, that's the thing about, you do take the risk with the weather, but again, I've sat
goes up like Wimbledon.
Yeah, I've sat watching stuff absolutely in puddles and with an umbrella up, and it's still fun.
But now you wear a nappy, don't you?
Yeah, no, I do.
Other operas they've got there. Oh no, this is Glyndebourne as well. We've got as well that sort of genre. We've got Glyndebourne in Sussex, which has got Rossini, Wagner, Handel, Mozart, all of that going on there. But please ask me about this theatre in Cornwall. Have you got that?
The Minac Theatre. It's beautiful. It is one of the most stunning places in the world.
You've not been, have you?
I have been, yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I love it, down in Cornwall.
Oh,
the Minac Theatre. It is absolutely beautiful. Cornwall.
But what they do mostly there is they do community shows. It's very busy during the summer. They've got they've just done. Can you imagine going to see Wind of the Willows? So you're looking out as well, and you're looking over
the sea. Yeah.
They're doing the Pirate Queen from the 30th of June to the 3rd of July. They're all very short. The people that did the Pirate Queen wrote Les Mis and Miss Saigon. Oh. So that would be interesting. And also they've got Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jeeves and Worcester at on the 7th of July till the 10th of July.
Nice. So again, if you can get to,
amazing.
If you can get down to Minac, to the Minac Theatre, it's absolutely beautiful.
Don't rush me off, because I've got lovely little bits. Tell me where I'm about to go. Don't rush me off. I've got some beauties.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to push you on, because I want to talk about the Palladium surprise here in London.
I don't know if it will be much of a surprise, because it's all over TikTok everywhere. So it opened just last night, officially opened, Evita, with Rachel Zegler, and it's directed by Jamie Lode, who did Sunset Boulevard. Can you remember Sunset Boulevard, where he went out of the building and he circled the building, they filmed it, and it goes up on the just on the stage? Well, this one, Evita, goes out onto the balcony of the Palladium and sings the Don't Cry for Me Argentina song. So there's 2 bits and bobs here. Well, 3 actually. So that if you go down to the Palladium at about, I'm going to say 10 to 9, you can see free theatre. You can see her singing that iconic.
And there are crowds that gather there for that now. And it's being filmed, because inside the theatre that's being shown as part of the show.
And they're doing speaking to the crowd.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of things being said about that. These people are paying all their money, and then the big number is being given free outside in the street. There's that. So they're just seeing a video of it. Still live. There's also, it's brilliant for publicity. It's absolutely brilliant, because, I mean, it's everywhere. Like I say, it's on TikTok and everything. And also, and my little nephew, I have to give him a credit for this. He said it's very good because it's actually mirrors life, because she hated all the la-di-da people of Evita and wanted to speak to the people. So actually...
So the freeloaders. From
freeloaders are the commons. But what I want to say, and this is a bit naughty, I think we've spoken about this. Where's the Brits when you want them? Why hasn't anyone chucked a sausage roll at her? Or
don't tempt that. Don't tempt that. There'll be somebody that does that. Listen, we've got less than a minute, and I want to talk about Cheryl Baker.
Cheryl Baker of The Fizz, formerly Bucks Fizz, is having a garden gig with her group. They've got the 2 original girls, Jay Aston and Cheryl Baker. It's in her. You can go to their website to look where it is. It's in her garden in Kent. It's on the 12th of July. And they've got 2 new members, very young members. I like to call them the Fizz and Sons now. because they're really young, the two boys. But it's lovely. They look all great together, and they look like they're having fun. So
That's
she's
good.
having a little
soiree, to which you and I will definitely not be invited. But thank you, Timmy. Claire Muldoon is next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there. It is good to have your company, and it is also good always to have the company of broadcaster Claire Muldoon. How are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. How are you coping with the heat?
Not at all, actually. I'm so pleased that we've got the cooler weather in now, and it was lovely to see some rain today, dare I say it.
Yeah, it actually was. We're never happy, are we, as Brits? It's too hot, too wet, too windy, too cold.
I don't mind the wind at all, actually. I quite like the wind. I had the doors open early and it was quite nice.
Oh, it was so refreshing this morning, wasn't it? I couldn't believe my luck. It was wonderful. Claire, before we get to the papers, on Friday, Independence Day, 4th of July, is of course the first year of this Labour government.
Yes.
And it has certainly been eventful, but possibly not in the way that any of us foresaw that it might be. What's your take on it?
Well, my take is the same take as I had when we had the 100-day of Starmer's rule. And I even said then that Labour, it was an absolute omnishambles, and I thought he should have stood aside and let Angela Rayner come in. And when we go through these front pages, and the Mail explicitly have put the blame practically or supposedly on at her feet, it just goes to show that, you know, there's stale in that woman, Rayner, you know, and she just might be, I don't know, I always thought it'd be Wes Streeting who'd be the new PM or the new Labour leader. But I just think Starmer has shown nothing in terms of leadership at all. He's got no authority.
No.
He doesn't speak in an authoritative tone. He doesn't bring the country together. There's no sense that there is unity, not only in his party, between the backbenches and the front benches and his cabinet, but also I just think that the country, up and down the country, they just don't seem to be listening to the populist vote, the populist voter. They've never spoken about the devolved governments of both Wales and Scotland. And the number of U-turns, my goodness me, they could write a new highway code, I think, on the number of U-turns that Starmer and his government have actually done. And in terms of, we will look forward, to talking about Rachel Reeves and what happened today, not with any sense of glee.
No.
I'm certainly not happy about it, what happened at all. It's awful. But, there was idioms going through my head of, tears of a clown and everything. And, no one's mentioned now that she's the first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. So there's a lot of things that have gone on through this whole year of Labour governance that I think people who voted them in, and let's not forget, Petrie, they've got 166 working majority in the House of Commons, right?
And it's never felt weaker, has it?
It's never felt weaker. It really hasn't. And he got in almost to the same landslide victory that Blair got in with. I think there was just about six seats in it. And of course, we've had resignations, we've had defections, and we've had suspensions that have then brought that down to 160 or 161. There's been 5 or 6 of them that have gone in that period. I don't think there's been any government in British history that has performed so badly, so weakly as this one. I really don't. He just has got no direction, no hold, no leadership, no resilience, and no hope of going forward and bringing the country with him. He's got no hope in Europe. He's got no hope across the water in America. I don't think there's one country that actually says, wow, Starmer, you're doing a great job.
I think what's marked this government, as opposed to, we had chaos, let's not forget, with the Tories.
Completely. There's
mess,
just absolute
right.
mess.
And you can't blame anybody for thinking, well, I'm definitely not voting for them. So a lot of people voted out the Tories, and by voting in Labour, I don't think a lot of people wanted Labour. But what is, for me, is significant is their absolutely extraordinary ability for self-harm. Literally to punch themselves in the face and then look surprised that they've just done that. And that, for me, it has really marked them out as a very different government. The Tories were, they were tripping over like clowns, falling over, and everything was going wrong. But they weren't. Yeah, but this feels like self-harm. With Labour, it just seems, I don't know how that they've managed to do this. Everything they've done.
I remember saying, I don't know if it was to you. We probably did discuss this. They had 14 years in opposition, Petrie.
To get ready for this, yeah, we did.
Right, to get ready for this. And I remember saying a couple of times when the Tories really did muck things up, either internally, externally, or actually in the country. And I said, where is Labour's response to this? Surely you should have, like, the Houses of Parliament are like, it's like jesting, it's magnificent, it's like a piece of theatre. They're there, they should have been up getting at PMQs, getting their points across. They had none. And that would, to me, at that time, was like, whoa. And one senior Tory said to me, well, they're hardly going to speak out, are they? They're hardly going to show their cards. They don't have to, because the Tories are doing a good enough job themselves of getting themselves out. But then I thought, no, you really have to trust, and you really have to give the country something. And if you want people's votes, you need to go out and tell them what they can have. And I think that, in part, is why Farage and Reform are doing so well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I also think that, that they don't know as well. The argument that, they're not going to, they're going to let the Tories implode, because that, at the time, was probably advice
what was happening.
advice that they were given. But I also think that they didn't know who they were, because quite clearly they've got into power and they don't know who they are and they don't know where they're going. And it's like getting in your car and just driving and not having a destination in mind. That's what it feels like. And this is why they keep having to U-turn, to use the driving euphemism, because they don't know where they're going. So they keep having to go, oh, I'm lost now, I've got to go back. So that's what it feels like to me, that there's no vision.
But no, there is no vision, and not even anyone that's gone to Specsavers or Vision Express or anyone could get the vision that they need, because they're so myopic. And let's talk about the fact of Starmer being a misogynist, right? When he was head of the CPS, rape convictions went down. The way he treated Diane Abbott was appalling, absolutely appalling. Even today, and I know he wasn't looking behind him when Rachel Reeves was sitting there visibly upset, but he still carried on, right? I just don't think he knows how to care. He's not been governed, he's not been shown. And whilst as well, I've always said I don't like the whole spin of politicians, and I blame Peter Mandelson and what was Blair's spin doctor called? Alistair Campbell.
Alistair Campbell.
Yeah, and I really don't like that style of politics, because I think it should be grassroots. I think it should be shoot from the hip. That's why I like Trump so much, I think, because he is such a disruptor, and he just says it, comes out of his mouth and he just says it. Whereas we had Blairism and all of that, you know, songs of the Brits, you know, Britpop at the time, and it was coming out of conservatives, you know, John Major, and before that Thatcher, William Hague, all the rest of it, Ian Duncan Smith. And then to come into Blairism, it was like, whoa, there's hope. You know, things like he revolutionised education to its detriment. It gave Scotland the part. And then Cameron comes in. What did Cameron give us? Brexit vote and the SNP, the rise of the SNP. Yeah, let's get Scotland independent. Even though there wasn't an appetite for it, really. No. And everyone knows
there wasn't an appetite for Brexit until they mentioned it. I mean, that was the biggest mistake that he made, Cameron, in views into politically.
Well, I think there was a few other mistakes he made, but we can't possibly comment.
We can't talk about them right now. But yeah, I mean, this is the problem, I think, that we have a very low standard of the political class as well. I don't know whether it's because that's what we accept or whether that's all we've got, but we don't seem to hold these people's feet to the fire in the way that they should be held.
Well, we don't, because there's mainstream media is flawed, right? Like it or lump it, it is. Broad streets still firmly are more in kilter with the right side of politics, meaning centre, right and left, and mainstream media is more biased towards the left. And then you've got everyone getting their news feeds, well, the Gen Zs from TikTok. They've got, you know, a myriad of other people think that they are commentators, they think they're briefed in it, and they just spew whatever rubbish they think people want to hear. And that's so divisive. So therefore, if you were thinking about going into politics, would you really want to? Unless, and I think Reform have got this right as well, they're going, as the Lib Dems do as well, they go very local. They campaign locally and they make the difference locally. And I think that's a difference between from what happened in 97 and before that with Blair. He made it very central, right? It was almost presidential.
Yeah, it was. It was a very exciting time. 1990 was very exciting politically.
This is all we have to work towards, you know, and we will get you there.
I mean, I've always maintained that anybody who wants to be a politician should be immediately disbarred from ever becoming one.
That.
Yeah, I just think that, because if you want to be one, then that is something else. That's about power or control, whatever. But if you just want to just be a good person and help people and make the country better, but don't want to be a politician, then you should definitely be a politician, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I just don't know who we're getting through the door. It just feels. I mean, you look at what we've got at the moment, and there's not a. There's no inspirational front bencher. There's no inspirational real backbencher. I mean, it's just like it's a homogenous lump of people that you could barely tell apart.
Because Petrie, they're all career politicians. Most of them have gone to Oxbridge or other Russell Group universities and studied PPE. You know, you read that, then you come out, and then you're helicoptered into a constituency that is a safe seat. If you're if you've got any nous, the high echelons will say, yeah, they're a good person, put them in there because we're guaranteed to get that. They're a name. I mean, I forgot until today when I checked up that Starmer's constituency is actually Holborn.
Yeah.
Which used to be Frank Dobson's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Really, honestly. Theresa May's was Slough. Boris Johnson was Maidenhead. So they were all these leaders were quite central to London.
Yeah, they were given all the safest seats, weren't they? Mm-hmm. I just wonder if there are any Labour supporters left. I mean, because I don't hear that voice. I don't hear anywhere anybody saying no. No. Come on, I'm still a Labour supporter. I still believe in. I mean, I think you can be both, right? You can be a Labour supporter but not support this government. I guess.
Obviously, yeah. I think the population that voted for them actually are all in that camp.
Yeah,
I really do.
I just wonder if there is genuinely what sort of numbers. I mean, I know you see the polling, but that people genuinely still believe in this government.
I don't think there are many, if at all.
I don't.
Because do you know why?
It'd be hard to
They
find
don't
them.
believe themselves. Did you see Starmer's interview tonight?
No,
it was very telling. Very telling. I quoted it here. Rachel, I mean, this is the age-old thing about politics, isn't it? Starmer tonight, it was a personal matter that made her cry.
Yeah.
She's made an excellent job as Chancellor. We work together. We're in lockstep together. She'll be Chancellor for many years.
But he didn't say that in the Commons when he was pushed. Yeah.
No, he didn't. Who was the last politician to go when they said, yeah, they were really, really safe?
Yeah.
Not to worry, they were really, really safe. And that was the kiss of death.
Kiss of death. It always is. Anyone who says, "Oh no, they're not going anyway," you think, "Oh, okay,
they're safe. They're not going anywhere."
I'll get the card ready that says, "Sorry, you're leaving," or whatever.
That used to be. You remember Hello magazine used to run all the couples and all the the celebrities, and then hello, and then the next week it'd
goodbye.
Be goodbye.
It was always the kiss of death, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
Absolutely. Right, Claire, let's have a look at the Washington Post. This is our American pick. We're still waiting for Congress. They haven't finished voting yet because the big, beautiful bill passed the Senate, but only just. So it's gone into Congress today.
What bill is this for?
This is the big, beautiful bill for everything. Everything. It's everything. In fact, people. One of the things in the big beautiful bill, apart from it being the biggest handover of wealth from the poor to the rich in American history, is sunbeds tax relief. Yeah. Why? Have they got?
That's almost like turkeys voting for Christmas, isn't it? Really, I mean,
they've literally in this bill they've bothered to put in a bit. Whereas if you've got a sunbed at home, you get tax relief on it. I don't know why, but anyway, that's still going.
Maybe they're a bit mistaken. Maybe they think it's a solar panel. A solar panel in your house. You get tax relief.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because Donald Trump likes a bit of self-tanning. I mean, I don't know. But
Orange County is growing.
I think that's possibly makeup, but anyway. But part of this bill is that 17 million Americans will lose all of their health insurance. $1.1 trillion being removed from Medicare and Medicaid.
But what is that for? To raise money? I mean, people invest. I mean, all this Medicare money is invested into stocks and shares. It's like a pension, really, the way it works economically.
And it also, you know, it supports hospitals and care homes and stuff like that. But they're saying that now rural hospitals will close, and 1 in 4 care homes will have to close as well. But this is to, well, they're saying this is to give to billionaires, that percentage-wise, the more you earn, the more of a tax break you get. So
there you go.
It's putting money in the pockets of his donors, basically, and removing it from 17 million people will lose their health coverage, according to non-partisan experts. So that's on the front page of that. So, but the GOP, the Grand Old Party, are determined to get this through, and they're determined to get it through by Independence Day.
It's almost like a welfare reform, isn't it?
Well, it's brutal. I mean, 17 million people losing all healthcare. It's not like it'd be like removing the NHS from 17 million people here. What about this polarising televangelist was felled by a sex scandal? And we don't really have them in this country, do we? But in America, thank goodness. Oh,
who was the big one? Someone Graham, Robert Graham, or something, or who did a tour in the UK? Who?
Billy Graham.
Yeah,
he was the one. And these are the frauds that basically go on television and spout the if you send me money, the Lord will bless you.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy Jimmy Swaggart. Great name for a preacher of that type, Swaggart.
Swaggart by name, Swaggart by nature.
Anyway, he made a very public tear streak televised confession about the sex scandals that he was involved in. But obviously he made millions. These people make millions of pounds, which they enrich themselves.
From vulnerable people.
From vulnerable people. And then they enrich themselves with it. You know, it's all that. He made, I think, 140 million a year from dollars a year from poor people, basically. But anyway, he was involved in a sex scandal. He's died. His death is announced. I wonder if he's had to pay his way into heaven.
He won't get into heaven.
He definitely will not get into heaven. I hope not, anyway. I hope God's standing there just laughing at him.
Well, we are. That's all that matters.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. But
you ain't getting in.
I'm so glad that we don't fall for that. I don't know why the Americans do. It's extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary.
Because they're stupid.
I think that's fairly evident. And not all of them. Right, let's take a break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi there, this is a Talk, and it's Petrie here with you, and with me is Claire Muldoon, and we're going through Thursday's newspapers. The Daily Mirror. Going with Kate, my roller coaster recovery. Princess tells of struggle to find new normal after cancer treatment. Claire, hello. Yeah. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's in two papers. I think it's in this one. I think maybe the Express as well. But the Mirror, not surprisingly, has tried to minimise what happened in the House of Commons today, because it's, as we know, a very left-leaning paper.
Yeah.
But still, it's a beautiful picture of Kate. She missed Ascot. She's missed a few things. So her struggle, I think, has been real for her. And there's one thing she says there, that she says it is a roller coaster, and every day must be taken as every day, really.
Yeah. So if you have
day.
a bad day, you have a bad day, and you've got to let yourself have a bad day. And if you have a good day, and that must be very difficult in the public eye.
It must be, and I do take my hat off to her, because the Queen's adage, never complain, never explain. That she sums that up for me. She's never put a foot wrong. She's always held her own counsel. Her pictures that she takes of her family are just lovely. Louis, I think, has won the hearts of everyone in the country. I'm still not massively a monarchist after Queen Elizabeth died. And I think all the things now that Charles is doing, like cancelling the train, but flying up to Balmoral in helicopter, I don't know. I'm torn, actually, to be honest with you. I really am, because there are cancer affects 1 in 2 people in their lifetimes.
Yeah, it's huge statistic.
It's huge. It's huge. I don't know if because it has affected the King and indeed the Princess of Wales, if it makes it more real for people and makes them more relatable. I really don't know, because especially with Princess of Wales, one, we still don't know what the cancer was, and we don't know what treatment she had. All that I can see is a beautiful young woman with 3 lovely children, and her husband, who clearly supports, is at Aston Villa, I think it is, and knows quite a lot about football. and like every family, they've got the side of the family that they don't always get the Christmas invite to, shall we say?
Yeah, well...
And funnily enough, they're living in America as well.
Yeah, quite.
See the trend?
Yeah, see the trend, see what's happening. The Mirror has addressed, like you said, not in any big way, but I do like the line that they've used there, Roswyn Jones has used, the reporter, saying there is banter and there is bullying. The Tory leader crossed the line. I mean, Kemi Badenoch seemed to glory in the distress on Rachel Reeves' face, which was very, very clear for everybody to see. She looks absolutely exhausted, and she looks absolutely miserable. And it was almost like, I don't want to say kicking a puppy, but it felt like Kemi knew what she was doing.
Look, she's the leader of the opposition. I think what Robert Jenrick did online was far worse. And I think people are atting Kemi because, one, she is a woman doing it to other women. I really think that's the case, because on the flip side of it, right, you had people like Churchill stand up in wartime, right? It must have been difficult for any politician to do that. But she is an elected politician, right? Her boss, Starmer, has said, what was it? He said, yeah, she's done a great job as Chancellor. She's done this. We're lockstep together. Almost like my full confidence. She has, she giggled as well her way through things, okay? She's been a politician for many years. She knows what it's about. There's a thing called resilience. There's a thing called personal integrity. There's a thing called professionalism, right? And I think if she had adhered to any of them, one, if she didn't feel up to it, she shouldn't have sat there. And another thing, I don't think Kemi Badenoch overstepped the mark. I think she was just cutting through everything. And if it was a man doing it to a man, it just wouldn't even be as as big of an issue.
I
really don't think it
will
would.
buy from you that language is very much because of that it was two women, but even just as two human beings, to see somebody clearly
visibly upset,
visibly distressed. I mean, she looks. I think that I don't know. She just looks exhausted. She looks absolutely exhausted.
Look, Starmer's thrown her under the bus.
Yeah.
He's thrown Liz Kendall under the bus as well. She was completely banjaxed the other day.
Yeah, she really did.
And it was her reform bill.
Yeah.
90 minutes before they were going to vote on that last night, he pulled the most controversial part of it, the part that everyone was up in arms about, the PIP.
Yeah. And left Rachel Reeves with a massive, great big hole that she's going to have to fill by U-turning herself.
I was going to say that, the black hole, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be that. Well, I don't think they've got any chance of not raising taxes in the autumn budget.
And so she's got to be the bad guy, and I think that's probably dawned on her. I mean, they are just about to go to summer recess as well. I mean, maybe she just needs a holiday.
Do you know, the really interesting thing about this, Petrie, you don't often get the Labour Party to turn on their own leader. You know, the Conservatives are famous for it.
Yeah.
I mean, send Graham Brady a letter, job done.
Yeah.
But the Labour Party don't really tend to do that.
No, they don't have the same mechanisms, do they?
I'm just wondering now if, again, with the help of the unions, Angela Rayner might just come up and reign, but I would far rather West Streeting.
I mean, there's literally no doubt about it that Angela Rayner is on manoeuvres. There's no doubt, but so is Wes Streeting. I mean, he's omnipresent. But Angela Rayner, you know, everybody looks at her and thinks, oh, yes, she's nice. But no, she's not. I mean, she hasn't got to where she's got by being what she appears to be, you know, going to gigs and being right northern.
Do you know what? I take
tough.
my hat off to her. I think she has dragged herself up. She's the epitome of social mobility.
Yeah.
She was a mother at age 16. She's now a granny. She has done so much. She's lived in social housing. She's lived the life that the Labour Party won't or should be perceived to help.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of social mobility, bringing in a bit of layers and bringing in a bit of what.
But
she
I don't
would
think
be popular.
she's got it.
But I disagree with you. I think she has, and I think she's grown into her role as Deputy Prime Minister. I really do. God help us, but I think that might be the way.
Well, we'll see. Right, we're going to have to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, it is Talk, and Petrie here with you, and with me is Claire Muldoon. At the Times, Claire, it's awful. I mean, I just feel so bad for Rachel Reeves when you look at that photograph, and of course it's everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I mean, waking up to that in the morning is not going to be very pleasant for her.
No, it's not. So there are other things on the Times front page. We've got Gen Z's turning to drink as they grow up. I mean, wow, who knew, eh?
Who knew?
And they're not just drinking oat milk. They're actually drinking alcoholic beverages.
We thought they were all clean living, but they're now, as they're getting a bit older, they're turning more to alcohol. Not that that's something to be proud of, but as if we didn't see that coming. And it's good for the pubs, if nothing else.
As if we didn't teach them enough. And this is actually ties them into something that happened today, because drinks companies were, they were really quite worried, because of all this,
piety.
Absolute piety from the oat milking Gen Z population.
Yeah.
And they were thinking, gosh, what's going to happen? And then West Streeting today did a U-turn on the advertising of alcoholic drinks between half 5 and half 9, which I still think is quite early, but I'm not really aware of them because I don't think anyone watches TV.
Exactly.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So that was actually, in my view, tied to the tariff and the trade deal with the US. I think that's why that has been done. But it's been masked as the new 10-year plan for the NHS. And you mark my words, Petrie, from tomorrow, we will not hear much about what happened today. They'll be focusing on building houses. They'll focus on, again, Angela Rayner, and they'll focus on the 10-year plan for the NHS, because the Times also have more GPs, fewer consultants. That's the top bit at the top there of the Times. And that's linked to a 6-day-a-week, 12 hours a day NHS that they want to actually implement. Because
they've been talking about this for quite a long time, though. I mean, for years.
But at least West Streeting is doing it.
Yeah. I mean, he's certainly saying he's doing it. 200 new neighbourhood health centres will offer scans, outpatient. It's brilliant. It's absolutely the right thing. But this won't be in this Parliament, and by the time the next Parliament comes along, will it? I mean, I'm just so cynical about these promises. I'm a bit concerned that he's talking the talk, but will he? Can he walk the walk?
For me, that's actually irrelevant. For me, it's actually the plan that's actually there. We've never heard this before. It's been mooted. It's been spoken about. This is actually the plan.
Well, as long as the next government picks up with the plan, and I think the NHS should be non-partisan. I think it should be outside of politics.
Yep, it should be cross-party.
So you can have a proper 10-year, 20-year plan. Yeah. Without it being messed up.
With proper funding.
Yeah.
And it goes to the crux of, and I've said this, I think the big blue chip company should actually give their charity days collectively, instead of for whatever wee charity someone wants to cycle to MIPIN for or something. They should actually get the IT infrastructure for the NHS sorted. They should get from appointments to the end user, the patient, sorted. Instead of getting letters, instead of getting emails, instead of getting too many apps. There's Ortis apps, there's the NHS app, there's the My Government Chart.
Patients Know Best app. Yeah.
Right. And the other thing that was mooted, which I don't agree with, is people, the end user patients, grading their GP or grading the service that they had. That's far too subjective. People aren't equipped to say, actually had a really good op, because they don't know how ill they were.
No.
We're not clinicians, we're not doctors.
No.
If we were, we wouldn't have to.
No, exactly that. Now, there are some very basic things that need to be done with the NHS.
Out things on the NHS because someone doesn't like the look of their nose, because someone doesn't like the look of what they are, or someone wants a child, or someone wants this. That's not what the NHS was set up for.
Yeah, well, it has...
An accident and emergency. Sorry, but clue is in the name.
It has spread, hasn't it? And there's always arguments. You say that people shouldn't get the nose job done, but what if that person is, suicidal or being bullied to the point where they're going to hurt themselves
that's a separate thing, Petrie. That is...
Or have mental health issues from it.
That is something completely separate from plastic surgery.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay.
But a lot of people will see it as that. They will see it as just plastic surgery because you don't like your nose, but there might be more complications.
There's always cases. I mean, it's all in the the way data works. There's always a scattergraph, and there's always, on the periphery, someone who actually does need it, or someone right in the centre, whereas other people just like, nah.
No, I agree. There's a lot that can be done and should be done, and let's hope that it can.
It will
get
be done.
That it will be done. The Daily Express, of course, as you said, there's a picture of Kate there, but also day of drama leaves Reeves on the brink, and the markets and the value of the pound dropped as well because of this. It's not a good look to have a Chancellor who looks weak and then isn't supported by the Prime Minister at the time of being questioned, and that just unsettles the financial markets.
You know, the alliteration there of day of drama, I'm surprised that the sub didn't go leaves Reeves on the drink.
Yeah, true.
Because if it was you or I, we definitely would be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I just looking at her face, I just feel, I just feel so. I've been there. I think we've all been there. That look of misery and exhaustion.
On the school run.
And yeah, exactly. And coming back and pouring vodka on your cornflakes. But yeah, The Guardian again covering that story. Tears and turmoil. P. Diddy, Sean Diddy Coombs, has been found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. But not the big ones,
not
trafficking.
The human trafficking.
He didn't get. I found that really interesting because I think that they broke down the crimes very succinctly actually, but they were only able to return a verdict on 4 of them, weren't they? And the judge sent them back for the 5th one, but they said that it's impossible, and there was a danger that the entire thing could collapse if the judge said no, I'm going to take it's all of them or none of them, then it would have been a mistrial.
I'll tell you something that is guaranteed out of this. Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of them will be there ready to do the documentary on Sean Diddy Coombs.
And the drama. It's not, they'll be doing that
Sponsored
as well.
by Johnson & Johnson's baby oil.
I think they've made enough money out of this, haven't they? But we don't know. He was also not guilty of racketeering, the racketeering conspiracy. But we haven't heard anything about a sentence yet, so we don't know what's going to...
Up to 20 years, I think, but...
October the 3rd. He's being sentenced on October the 3rd.
Is he?
Yeah. So I think he'll probably do time, but I don't expect it'll be very long. We'll wait and see. The Eye, Reeves' future in doubt after tearful PMQs. Imagine that.
And they've also got retiring at 74 if the triple lock is kept for pensions. And let's have some good news. Emily Raducanu won today against, I can't remember what her name was, but she won Wimbledon in 2023. She won Wimbledon 2 years ago, and Raducanu has put her out. So she was dancing around the court today. Have you managed to see any of Wimbledon yet?
I'm not a Wimbledon fan.
Oh, right. Well, I am. Yeah. But I was struck when I managed to watch some of the tennis on Monday evening that there's no linesman anymore.
Yes, I mean, it's funny, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and you've lost that, it's all done by technology now, but you've lost something, that something has been lost from watching the tennis without the lines people and looking down and shouting and all of that.
Yes.
That it's completely gone. Yeah.
It's gone, it's so sanitised now. And also what I really do miss is the drama when someone calls it, that's in or out. Yeah. And then then you see the drop, and then it's either a yay or it's a whoa.
Yeah. Or you see how you know is if you see the dust blowing up. That used to be the indication, didn't it? But now it's all done by
chalk dust. What are you talking about? It's chalk dust. That ball was in.
But it seems to have lost something. But I suppose that football fans have been saying this for a while as well, with the whole VAR.
I think the only sport that it actually works in is actually rugby.
Yeah, probably.
Because when they go to the TMO in rugby, the referee stops because they've all got these earpieces in. The whole crowd can hear what they're saying, and then it goes up to the TMO, and the way they talk it through, No, I want to see if it's brilliant. Unlike in football, football's not a real game anyway.
No.
And in tennis,
It's a
I
game
think
for
they've really.
sissies.
Oh goodness me! I mean, what? Grow a pair of those things.
Those funny shaped ones.
Yeah.
So that's good. So we're retiring at 74 then. That's good.
I don't think we'll ever retire.
No, I don't think we will. I don't think we'll be allowed to, will we? Not fair. 74. That's only around the corner.
You maybe, not me.
Metro. Tears and jeers for Starmer. It's an odd one, but there you go. And the Daily Mail. What or who caused the tears that sparked the turmoil in the markets?
Was it Lindsay Hoyle? Was it Rachel Reeves? Was it a personal matter that Starmer said it could? I'm going into song here.
I know.
My goodness me, knew
It is like a soap opera, though, isn't it? I mean, we could be singing this. It's extraordinary. But Sarah
Don't
Vine,
cry for me, Argentina.
Yeah, Sarah Vine. Rachel needed a hug. Instead, Starmer sucked her dry to shore up his own position like the political vampire he is.
Oh, they couldn't see her. She was sitting behind him. Sarah Vine, who?
Yeah. She doesn't appear to me to be the type of woman that hugs other women if they're upset, if you know what I mean. Maybe that's unfair, but because I don't know.
Well,
her.
we couldn't possibly comment.
I don't know her. Daily Mail also saying Labour's 12 months of mayhem. Before we move on to the Telegraph, let's take a very quick break. Claire and I'll be back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, this is Talk, and I'm Petrie, and she is Claire Muldoon. Hello. She, her. She, her. Listen, the Telegraph's got a really interesting story. I mean, it covers the Rachel Reeves thing, it covers the NHS thing. But the one that I'm interested in is top earners living in council housing. And this is a nib at the bottom. I might as well give you the correct number.
3.2%, I think.
Yeah, it's 128,000 households in taxpayer-subsidised homes are amongst the top earners in the country. Telegraph analysis shows official figures reveal 3.2% of those renting from local authorities and housing associations earned at least 71 grand a year, and 313,000 were found to earn just shy of 50 grand a year. What do you think of this, Claire? Do you remember what was his name, Bob? I used to interview him all the time.
TUC, head of
the tube drivers. Anyway, he famously was earning over 100 grand and famously said, "I'm not leaving my council house. I mean, this is my right to have a council house." What do you make about people who earn, a decent salary and staying in a subsidised property?
Absolutely nothing wrong with it, because the properties are given out with a lifetime tenancy. And regardless of your means, and that's what was great about it. And it's only 3.2% of those top earners. So I don't think people should have to move out of their homes because of economic activity or even inactivity, because that's no good for the social mix and social cohesion of a community.
But a lot of people, Claire, are waiting, I think on average 14 years to get into...
Yeah, but they need to build more houses.
Yes, well, they need, when they say affordable houses, it really annoys me, because the only truly affordable housing is state subsidised council housing.
And like that guy that you were talking about, he dropped dead of a heart attack.
Yeah. Bob Crow,
that's who it was.
Bob Crow.
Right. So what do the families do then? Or what? So I don't have an issue with that. I don't have any, as the young would say, beef with that at all. I think people need to get housing, and the only way we're going to do that is by building more of the damn things.
But while there is a shortage of housing, and while there are massive waiting lists, do you think it should be capped? I mean, there are caps in certain councils.
There's only caps to get the benefit.
But no, there are in London. I think it's.
I don't know how it works.
I think it's. I want to say £90,000 before it's at that point. I think that you're asked to.
Well, that can't be right, because Bob Crow was still in his. He was in 150.
There was something different about that as well. But there is a cap in London. I just can't bring it to my mind right now. So there probably is around the country, but of course people can lose their jobs, and then they're to the back of the queue, aren't they?
Or they get ill. Yeah. So you've got a home. It's your fundamental right is to have shelter.
But there will be people, Claire, who go, but I'm only on, 16 grand a year, and I've got a couple of kids, and I work as a trainee nurse or trainee teacher, and
there'll be more of them than there are of the 3.2% of high earners that are living in kinds of local authority housing, or the Peabody Trust, or what's another trust, a housing trust. There was
Guinness in London, Guinness Trust as well. The Guinness built a lot of properties, but the Peabody was the.
So what are you going to do? Evict someone because they're earning too much money, because they've done well? No, you can't. You can't be punitive like that. You cannot treat housing as if it's a commodity. It's a fundamental right.
Okay, what about this then? If you earn above a certain amount, you lose the subsidised part of it. You stay in the property, but you lose the you can afford to pay the full rent. And then if you lose your job, it will go back to the subsidised rent. That would make sense, wouldn't it?
It would make sense, and I think something like that actually does happen.
Because that would make more. Because
I think this story. I don't think the story is pegged to make people say, well, they should move out of the house. Then I think the story is there to peg from the fact that people earning that amount of money actually might seem like a lot of money, but it's not actually, because you might have two earners, both on 40 each or 45 or whatever each, brings it up to 90. That's still more than that one person earning 71,000.
I just get the feeling, because it's so squeezed, that there will be people who believe that.
I think more people are concerned the fact of people staying in hotels, being put up in hotels, where we know nothing about them. We don't know any of their history. At least someone living in that house clearly has lived there for a long time, because I don't know anyone that's living in a local authority house at the moment, or even in a housing trust house.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I think when I first came to London, I stayed with a friend who had a Peabody flat.
Oh.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I bet you did, because they're lovely.
They are
and
lovely.
the other lovely thing about them is they never
King's
sell
Cross.
them.
They were just absolutely
nice.
right there on Judd Street. It was absolutely lovely. I really enjoyed living there. And the people were fantastic as well, actually. They were really sweet.
That's social cohesion, isn't it?
Yeah, there were lots of artists there, I seem to remember, and they were always very, very sweet and helpful. The Sun newspaper.
I haven't seen The Sun.
Okay, so it's the same story, with Rachel Reeves on the front, with the tears you can see clearly on her face. Government in meltdown, what Reeves said before the tears riddle, and minutes after she said she was under so much pressure. And I mean, that is clear to see, the bags under her eyes, and we've all felt like that at some point.
I really don't know. I don't want to know what made her so upset. I really don't.
Yeah.
Unless it's something to do with her job, which I very much doubt.
I think
she just felt completely overwhelmed.
I just think there are a lot of misogynists who will be going, well, see, that's why we can't have a woman. Because they get emotional.
Of course there will be.
Yeah, we might get when I get angry, I cry as well. I mean, I think for me that is a release event, and to say that men don't get emotional, I mean, please, that is the biggest lie ever told. You might not.
He's a robot.
You might not cry. But you look at Donald Trump throwing his teddy out the pram over a portrait, and you can see that he gets emotional. And Vladimir Putin's the same; he gets very emotional. So the fact that a woman might show frustration and anger and upset by crying doesn't mean she's any weaker. It's just a different way of showing it. Anyway, the Daily Star. Rap star verdict.
Yeah,
here we go. Freak show. Again, looking at this case, I think it was. I think the jury probably did an extremely good job in being able to separate. I'm not sure I could have done. I think that's what I'm saying. If I was on that jury, I'd have seen the way he treated women. I'd have seen the way his sexual behaviour, and I think I would have just thought, right, well, you're a wrong 'un. But the jury there were able to separate that emotion, that feeling, from yes, he is. He's a nasty person and a bit of a freak, but we don't think he trafficked, or we don't think he was complicit with that. So I'm really looking forward to reading the breakdown of this.
Or watching the documentary.
Oh, wait, I'll just wait a couple of weeks, shall I? And it will be there. So that's the that is the Daily Star. Excuse me. The Financial Times is our last paper to go through, and gilts and pounds slump after Reeves' tears trigger fears for fiscal vigilance. I don't think it was her tears that caused the markets to go. It was Keir Starmer's lack of support for his Chancellor that caused the markets to drop.
Well, lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence
in the government.
Yeah.
Lack of confidence shown very publicly between the Prime Minister and his Chancellor that he chose, that he stood by. He's continuing to stand by. So all of the above. And the markets have just gone, oh my goodness me.
Got no faith.
And who knew about gilts before Starmer came into number 10 Downing Street? Tell me that.
I knew about guilt. I mean, that comes when you have your children. Well,
I'm a Catholic.
Oh, God, riddled with it. Absolutely riddled with it. This is an interesting story here, and the line, dating apps are feeling like a thing of the past.
That's the head of Bumble, isn't it?
Thank God. Yeah, I mean, why would you say that? It's like, it's a Ratner moment, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. My M&S prawn sandwich is better than my gold chain. Absolutely. She's like, well, I don't know why you're getting so upset. I had to lay 160 of you off in my London office. They're a thing of the past now. Didn't you know? Like,
It really is a
earth?
Jerry Ratner moment. I mean, when he said that his stuff is so cheap, you could buy a prawn sandwich that would last longer or something.
Yeah.
But to say that is really quite bizarre. But what are people doing now then?
Don't ask me.
I mean, I've never used a dating site.
Nor have I.
I haven't. I just the thought of it just makes me.
Well, I think, to be fair, I've always said there's enough of us online anyway. You don't need to go online to find a fella.
I just think it's
Pretty strange one at that.
It's very strange. But I wonder what people do now. If there's no dating apps.
Wouldn't it be lovely if you could just go into a bar and meet someone? Wouldn't it be lovely if you had that meet
cute? What a great idea.
Meet cute.
Claire Muldoon, I'll meet you in a bar any day of the week. Thank you very much indeed. Claire Muldoon, broadcaster there. Right, coming up, it's just you and me, and I want to talk to you about this Labour government because in about 1 minute's time, it's going to be tomorrow, Friday, that we'll have had this Labour government for a year. So I want you to give me a school report on them. And I want to see if I can find any people who are still Labour voters. So if there's any Labour voter out there who hasn't been put off by this last year of a Labour government, pick up the phone and give me a call, 0344 499 1000. I want to know what you think of what they've done in the last year, and do you see any signs of improvement? So get ready, give me a call. I'll speak to you in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning. It's the 3rd of July, which means tomorrow is the 4th of July. And in America, may the 4th be with you, it is, no, that's not the right one. Anyway, it is Independence Day. So it is going to be a year since we had this Labour government. And as far as I know, There's no celebration planned. There's no parties planned. There's no Keir Starmer coming out and making a speech and having people waving flags and being excited about a full year of a Labour government. Now let's just go back to a year ago where they won a landslide victory, albeit with a smaller percentage of voters in our strange voting system, and have a majority, a massive sweeping majority in the House of Commons, 166. So with that, a cracking start to a 5-year term, you would have imagined that it'd be impossible, right? It'd be impossible to muff that up. Impossible. It can't be done. Couldn't be done. Well, they found a way to do that. They took that victory and they took that majority and they went to the nearest toilet, it seems, and flushed it. Because with all of that, who are they and what have they done? Well, within a couple of weeks of this amazing victory, they brought in taking away the winter fuel allowance before the budget. It was an extraordinary move, an act of self-harm. It was a political statement. It wasn't a fiscal statement. They kept banging on about this black hole in the budget that needed to be filled, and then the budget came along, and that was brutal, absolutely brutal, and it has caused an enormous number of jobs to be lost and companies to stop hiring and all sorts of issues and problems. It seems like this Labour government have the uncanny and brilliant ability to punch themselves in the face. It is quite the most, when you watch them, it's like, what are you doing? Why have you made that decision? I don't understand. Now, personally, I think it's because Keir Starmer has surrounded himself with young men who, and you can tell that by his script, what he says. It's just like he's trying to get down with the kids, man, and it doesn't. And it's no more convincing than me doing it, right? It's just not going to work. I mean, whenever I try and speak youth, my son just curls up and dies. I mean, oh, have you got beef? Mum, don't. That language isn't for you, right? So it's like that, isn't it? He's just cringy, and he just feels weak. But I think the weakness comes from listening to the wrong people at the boys' club, and B, from not really having a clear direction, a clear vision. They're not good at storytelling. They're not good at giving us a vision. They were, even when it comes to hoiking the defence budget, there's been no explanation, no telling you a story as to why that's important. And believe me, it is important that we have a better defence. It really is. But they've not managed to sell that to us. They didn't manage to sell the fact that they needed to cut welfare. And look, there's no doubt we need to cut welfare, but they should have. I mean, what they did though is they went, look, we need 5 billion. Where are we going to get that from? Oh, look. Oh, well, we can't go after pensions because we've already upset the old people. So look, there's that lot. Disabled people. We haven't upset them yet, and they've got loads of money. We'll take 5 billion off that. They didn't do a review. They didn't look into it and see and come up with a plan beforehand. They announced they were going to cut this from welfare. They announced that how much money it was going to be before they managed to figure out a story or the reason or even a pathway or a pattern or anything that would replace it or would explain it. No. They just went, we need a load of money, there's a load of money over there, we'll take it from there, without a thought to what that would do to people and what that would do to them. Again, punching themselves in the face. The sycophancy of Keir Starmer with Donald Trump. Who amongst us didn't go, ooh, yuck when he was all toady around Donald Trump. Again, fair enough, I understand that he had to be nice to Donald because that's what Donald likes, and if you're not, whatever, I get it. Like Mark Rutte calling him daddy. But tell the story as to why that matters. I've got to be like this with him because if I'm not, we're going to get screwed. But it just looked weak and pathetic. And even at the G7, when Keir Starmer managed to get some trade deal that we still haven't seen the details of, what kind of horrible American food we're going to have on our shelves as part of this trade deal. We haven't really seen that yet, how that's going to impact our farmers and our products and our health. And then Donald Trump drops the papers. And Keir Starmer, that vision of him scrabbling around Donald Trump's feet, picking up, but it looks weak. It looks pathetic. How are we meant to have faith in a leader that looks like a follower, right? How are we meant to do that? And not to mention when the man speaks. That's what it sounds like. There's no passion. I mean, love him or hate him. Boris Johnson, he knew how to speak. There was passion there. There was humour there. You might not have got it. It might have been off kilter. It might have been a bit rude. All of those things. But he knew how to deliver. Again, love him or hate him. Nigel Farage is the same. He has the ability. And we've got this whining... I mean, how he ever won a case in court, I don't know. They can be able to hear him. Unbelievable, or whatever it is he says. It just looks weak. We look weak. So, and it's no wonder then, at the G7, Keir Starmer was in row 3. Row 3. Behind Zelensky, who wasn't even part of the it wasn't even meant to be there. Or was that the NATO meeting? That was the NATO meeting. Row 3. Zelensky was in row 2. I mean, he wasn't even part of NATO. So we look weak. And the U-turns, even though democratically I approve of a U-turn because it means that you've thought about it and then changed your mind. I mean, that is what sensible grown-up people do, right? But he looks weak. And not just because of those, the changes, but the excuses or the lies or the nonsense that goes with it. The whole U-turning on winter fuel payments, the reason for that is because inflation had gone down. Well, it's gone back up again. So, we're looking a little bit fiscally, but nobody believed you. Nobody believed you on that. The grooming gangs, we were told, he said there is no need for any of those investigations into the grooming gangs because if you want that, you're playing to the far right. And then a report comes out and he goes, oh, well, I've read the report now and I think we should have an investigation an inquiry into these. It looks weak. And then this whole thing with the welfare, again, weak. His excuse for that was, I was concentrating on world affairs. I didn't have a chance to read it until I got back, but they'd said this weeks ago. And we know that because we've talked about it. So, are there any Labour voters left? I'm making it my mission to try and find one. Because I don't know if anybody could look at this government and see anything other than what I've just explained to you. I don't think they're nasty. I don't think they're mean. I think they're probably well-meaning people. They're just weak. There's just nothing there. The whole front bench, really. I'm just kind of like, oh, who are you? Give me a call. Tell me what you think. I mean, they have done some good things. My crack team here went searching for some of the good things that this government has done, and there's some good stuff, but it's lost. It's buried under all the other stuff. And you know, people keep saying this is a year of chaos. I don't think it's chaos. I think it's weakness. It's just unedifying blancmange. That's my take. That's my review. Give me a call. Tell me yours. 0344 499 1000. I do have to tell you, contractually obliged. The calls will be charged at the national rate. However, we do call you straight back. Right, let's get to your calls. And Tarquin is in London. Hello, Tarquin.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Petrie, you're on one tonight, aren't you? Really? You're doing great, actually. This is really good stuff from you, because normally, I don't know, some of your stuff's a bit flaky, but tonight I think you're really on a really good one, because, I'll tell you for why, what I think we're witnessing with what you're saying about weakness, you know, the overarching weakness of this government is that they are not Labour. This is the problem. They have lurched so far to the left that the old Labour, what you call, are there any voters Labour? Yes, and they are stood in the middle. Patriots, because most Labour, if not all, are patriots, are seeing patriotism just basically be turned into far-right thuggery. And we're not, to somehow conflate patriotism with Nazism, fascism, is the biggest mistake that they allow their XLW, extreme left-wing supporters, and the Antifa mobs that they, you know, the flash mobs that they peddle out every weekend to basically mess it up for the normal patriots. This is what the chickens are coming home to roost for these buffoons, and they're all student union level political brains.
I agree.
They are cretinous morons that have, and it wasn't that they had a landslide victory, Petrie. It's just that the Conservatives have a landslide defeat.
Yeah.
And by default, Labour were just sat there, incumbents for 100 years since Keir Hardie, the namesake of the cretinous buffoon at the number 10 right now, who doesn't deserve to have that Christian name, quite honestly. And this is what we get. But the fact is that there is a nationalist, I think there's an to use the American expression, anti-globalist trend now across the world. Labour hadn't got the message. They didn't get the memo. They should have changed, and they should have actually realised that these dinghies coming over ain't helping our economy when these fellas are going straight to the streets of the black economy and cash-in-hand jobs. Oh, but we need them because the British people won't do the dirty jobs. Well, no, they bloody well won't, because they're paying us 0-hour contract, minimum wage. Who want to live in England? Everyone wants to get out. Everyone is getting out.
And do you know, it's just systemic, isn't it? It's all the way through that they don't fix a problem, they just cause another one, and I don't quite understand it, because none of us run our lives like that, right? We'd be in the gutter if we did.
We would.
So I don't understand why governments think that that's the right way to run things. And you're right, this isn't Labour, but worse than that. I mean, I'm politically homeless, but worse than them not being Labour, they're nothing.
They are.
They're nothing. They're like I said, they are just this lump of blancmange. They are nothing. I couldn't tell you what their passions are, I mean, I could tell you what their policies are, because but you know, I can't tell you what their direction is, what their dreams are, what their hopes are for this country. There is no storytelling. There's no direction. And I think that even though the Tories were an abomination, I mean, they really were an absolute cluster fudge. They at least we knew roughly where they were going, right?
We knew what flavour of cluster fudge they were.
We knew what flavour they were. This lot, you can't even say they're vanilla, because vanilla's got a flavour, but this is nothing. It's just nothing.
It's just, as Angela Rayner says, they're so transparent. You know, we just don't know what they are.
I haven't got a clue. I don't know what their image is for the country. I don't know what their hopes are. I don't know. None of it. I haven't got a clue.
And you know what's so terrifying, Petrie? We've got 4 more years of this.
I don't think we've got 4 more years of Starmer.
No, hopefully not.
I don't think so.
But whatever they actually are, because they're not real Labour. They're Yeah, there's some other. They've got a banner of Labour over them, but they're not really, because real Labour wouldn't be doing this.
No, they absolutely wouldn't. And I keep saying that, you know, if this was real Labour, they would start to, instead of pinching around looking behind the sofa covers and cushions for a bit of money here and there, which is what Rachel Reeves is doing.
That's right.
She should go straight into taxing the multi-billion companies that operate out of this country. Easy to do. You just apply a sales tax in the country that you sell the item. I don't care where the cup came from. If you're selling the coffee there, we apply a sales tax to it. And you tax billionaires or multi-millionaires, 100 millionaires.
They wouldn't miss it, would they?
Of course they wouldn't. And we could do it. We could tax them an extra 2%.
We could fill these black holes.
And it would solve it in a heartbeat. Yeah. But they won't do it because they're not Labour.
No, they're not Labour. If they were Labour, exactly. If they were Labour, they would be doing it. We wouldn't be in the cost of living crisis that we are. And because they're not doing it, in other words, they can't, ergo, they're not Labour. What are they? What are we going to do, Petrie?
I don't know. I think we're all going to just cry, or try to go and live in. If I was younger, I'd probably try to go and live in Canada. That would be my plan.
You were younger.
They wouldn't take me now. I'm too old.
No.
Oh yes, I am. But very kind of you to say so. But I love this country, but I think I'd get out of Dodge.
Absolutely. You and me both.
Yeah. Let's go, Tarquin. Let's do it.
Go.
All right.
Go. Bye, everybody.
Tarquin, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very, very much indeed. Do you know what? I'm going to take a quick break now, and I will be back in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you. And we're talking about a year tomorrow, as in Friday, of this Labour government. And I've given you my review of it. Like I said, I don't think they're bad people. I don't think they mean any harm. I think they probably mean more good, but they're just weak and have not been able to cut through. They haven't been able to push through. They've got no idea what it seems that what the rest of the country is thinking, and I just don't understand it. I mean, I am completely and utterly politically homeless. When it comes to voting, I'll tell you, I generally vote Lib Dem because that's my politics. I'm very much in terms of I want a small government. I don't want to be interfered with, and I want everybody else to be happy and be treated well. All of that kind of thing. But I'm politically homeless in the sense that I know that my vote is always a wasted one. But I'm not. I don't buy into any of them. But I have to say I have been disappointed by Labour because I thought, well, after 14 years of Tories, let's see what this lot can do. That was my hope. I was just thinking, well, let's see what they can do. But they're so. I don't know who they are. After a year, I couldn't tell you what they are aiming for. I couldn't tell you what their vision for this country is. I couldn't. I really couldn't. I mean, they're Labour, and yet the first thing they do is attack pensioners. They're Labour, and then the second big thing they do is not protect children, and then the third big thing they do is attack the disabled. That's not very Labour, right? Like I said, they're scrabbling behind the cushions for any spare bits of cash they can find, rather than doing the Labour thing, and that is confronting these conglomerates that are in this country who are avoiding tax at the most disgraceful level, and not taxing them properly, big money, and they're not going to leave. And where else are they going to go? I mean, they're not going to leave. So I think that they're just not Labour. And I think after 14 years of Tory, I expected a little bit more Labour. But what are they then? I mean, they flip-flop now because they're trying to appease potential reform voters. So they're sounding more reform. And then, that speech that Starmer made going, oh yeah, we're likely to become a nation of strangers. And now he's regretting saying that because that was his boys' club that told him that's what he should say because that's what reform people would like to hear. And then, the Labour majority or the backbenchers have all gone, why'd you say that for? That was disgraceful. So he's gone, oh yeah, why did I say that? So that's what I mean. It's just weak. It's just weakness. So, what do you make of this? I don't think it's chaos. I don't think the country's burning to the ground. I don't think any of those sort of hyperbolic statements that are being thrown around at the moment on the first year of Labour. I just think it's entirely depressing. It's just sad and depressing that they didn't take that majority and actually do something with it. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. It's my toy boy, Sheldon in Swansea. Hello, Sheldon, how are you?
I'm fine. I don't wish to interfere with you, as you just said. So,
I like not to be interfered with by government.
Anyway, back to government issues. Right, let's start from the huge majority that they had a year ago, yes?
Yeah.
I believe that was a reactionary vote. I don't think it was anything to do with Labour, true Labour supporters at all.
No, I agree.
It was just a backlash to do with Boris and the debacles of the past.
Yeah, I mean, we in this country, unusually, we don't vote governments in. What we do is we vote governments out.
Absolutely correct.
And that's what we've always done. So that would explain that majority, because we were so upset with the Tories, we wanted them out. Yeah.
Yes, we have the privilege of that, so that's it. So anyway, when it came to the point that Mr. Starmer became in charge of the Labour Party, I was a card-carrying member of the Labour Party and still am. However, I was ever so worried, because I thought this is the most inept, naive politician in charge of a major party I have ever come across in my whole life. And it's proven to be true.
Yeah. I think that Keir Starmer was a palate cleanser after Corbyn.
Yes.
I don't think he was ever meant to be Prime Minister. I think he was the palate cleanser.
Yes, indeed. Now, unfortunately, I'm whether you like this or people online don't like it, I was a fan of Mr. Corbyn for one reason. He may not be to everyone's taste, but like Mr. Trump, at least he could attract a rally. This chap can't attract a vote.
He can't attract flies in a garden, can he?
No, he couldn't do it, could he? Now, anybody who can't control his own party has got no chance of controlling the destiny of Great Britain. And I have a big problem regarding his attitudes towards leaders in this country, in the world. As you said earlier, it's obvious that you could see him in awe of Mr. Trump. You could see him in awe of everybody he ever meets.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in statuesque terms, that it actually means anything. He's always the shortest in the line. And the last time we saw him, he was actually on the fourth bench behind Mr. Zelensky.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It's embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. And this is, I think, to the heart of who Keir Starmer probably is, although I'm not even sure he knows. But
no, I don't think so. No.
He wants to play with the big boys. He wants to be, on the big football pitch, playing with the big boys. And I'm sorry, but we are a very weakened country economically, and in other, we're no longer part of the big boy game, right? We're second division, if anything. We're definitely not first division. But he is in awe of the Mark Carneys and the Zelenskys and the Trumps, and you can see it. And it's like he looks like a little schoolboy that's just met his favourite football player.
You have it in one. He looks as if he's got a pair of shorts on instead of a suit.
Yeah.
And I feel...
But that looks weak, right? It just looks weak. You can admire people, but for him, it makes the country look weak.
It's demeaning to us.
Yeah.
And what I am worried about is that he just took another job. It was a power mongering situation. He was not interested in the ideology of the Labour Party or any other party. I don't think he has an ideology. I don't think he's left, right, middle, centre, or anything else.
Completely agree. Completely agree. I don't think he. I think you're right. I think there's no direction. There's no passion. There's no belief. There's nothing.
Nothing at all. And when you consider that he stabbed his own boss in the back to get where he got, that tells you everything about what sort of person he is.
Well, and also he must have faked being Labour, because he was, Jeremy Corbyn and he were tight, and they he learned, at least Corbyn thought he did, and the party thought he did, learnt about Labour at the feet of Jeremy Corbyn. I think Jeremy Corbyn was far too extreme. I think that he was a disaster for the Labour Party. I think he was too far out there, and that's why I say that Keir Starmer is a palate cleanser. He will not be Prime Minister at the end of this Parliament.
No, you won't last 4 years. There's no chance of it at all. I understand what you mean by palate cleansing, but on the other hand, I must say one thing. We did have a true socialist ahead of him. Now, whether or not people want that in this country or don't want it in this country...
In the form of Corbyn?
Yes.
He was too much. He went too far. He was on the extreme fringes of the left wing. And I think at heart, Sheldon, most of us are centre. Some to the left of centre, some to the right of centre. A few further right, a few further left. But in general terms, I think most human beings are not extreme left or right.
I probably agree with that. I think I'm left of centre, to be frank.
On some issues, I'm left of centre. On other issues, I'm right of centre. So
it's very confusing. What I discovered was, as one gets older, I'm no longer a student radicalist.
Yeah.
So I've ended up somewhere in the middle.
Yes, and I think most of us actually are. I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make, is in thinking that because people are vocal, that there are more of them. And I genuinely believe that's why Tony Blair was so popular,
90% of the people would be Blairites if he was there today.
Absolutely. Why? Because he was central.
Yeah.
But we knew his direction, and it was more to the left, but on other issues he could be to the right. So I think that just backs it up, that most of us are in that centre line. We're libertarians, most of us.
I think this is, sorry, Petrie.
But and I'm just thinking that Corbyn was too left. I think Reform are too right, and I think it's like the porridge, isn't it? It's just got to be just right.
Yeah. I can see where you're coming from, exactly. I think that if we could get a centralist in the middle of a democratic socialist party,
a
truly democratic one, socialist party, they may be successful.
I agree with that, and I do think there's space for that.
There must be a space.
Well, it's got to replace the Libs, hasn't it? I mean, the Lib Dem who?
Yeah.
Something that replaced the Liberal Democrats would be good.
I think, you have it in one, because I think we either need a new party altogether, and that's not a coalition of the worst as we had before. This is a brand new idea where people stop the extreme ideologies and take on board the fact that most people just want a decent standard of living and want everybody to shut up.
Absolutely, that is to the heart of who I am politically. I want people I've never met and I'm never going to meet to have a great standard of living, have a nice standard of living, and good healthcare and good education. And I don't mind, paying my bit to achieve that. And then I want to be left. I don't want to be interfered with, Sheldon.
No, you know what I mean. And you don't want to be interfered with because you haven't even met me yet, right?
And also, I adore your wife.
Oh my God! They just punched me.
I was going to say I love your wife too. So where am I? What can I do? Listen,
right.
It's gorgeous.
Okay. You have a good night.
Okay? And you, Sheldon. Thank you very much indeed. I think that's it. I mean, most of us are not this radical left or radical right, but we've been let down by everybody else, and that's why it tends to lean that way. That's why we're seeing the rise of the right across the world, actually, because we feel we've been let down by everybody else, and there's hope that they can fix it, but they can't and they won't. Quick break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning to you. This is Talk and it's Petrie here with you till the top of the hour. And we're talking about the fact that on Friday it'll be a full year since Labour won with their landslide victory. And as Sheldon and I were saying, that it's not really that they won, it's just that the Tories lost, because we were sick and tired of the absolute, that was chaos that was going on there. So now we've got this Labour government, got another 4 years, and I'm just wondering what your review of them so far is, and if there are any true Labour supporters out there who, I'm going to caveat this with, who would vote for this lot again. But in the meantime, let's go to a new caller, and that's Ken in Manchester. Ken, thank you very much indeed for picking up the phone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good to have you on board.
Yeah, good evening. I'm sorry that the vertical stripes aren't quite working like you hoped they would be.
Oh, that's rude.
Sorry about that.
They're not making me look thinner.
No, no, but it's okay. It's okay. But if you're talking about the Labour government, I would class it as an absolute disaster.
Really?
Yeah. If somebody was looking for something to worsen the Labour government now, I think they'll find it very difficult to find. No.
Well, they have done some good things. It's just that it's been so overtaken by all of the you know, the apparent meanness and lack of planning.
Well, maybe, but it's been very well disguised.
It has.
Because I have not noticed anything that they've done is good.
Mm.
Everything they've done has, to me, been absolutely against the good of the people. You know,
they have reduced waiting times in the NHS, apparently, allegedly.
Well, allegedly,
yeah. The first transport bill to pass the Commons was the rail nationalisation bill, so they're going to nationalise failing railways.
Yeah, well, these are sort of very small things as against the major things, major problems.
Workers' rights. They're bringing in a whole new tranche of workers' rights.
Yeah, but I believe that these are being sort of drastically reduced from Angela Rayner's things.
Yeah.
I mean, the major thing is this immigration thing.
I mean, I think that is the club that people beat them with. I think that is the problem. I think, and they have underestimated.
Yeah, but
the sense of anger in the country.
To me, a major thing there. If you just said to them, you will not get any money when you come in. You will not get accommodation. I think all these things are the things which are encouraging these people to come. If you just say you won't get them, you probably find that you will reduce the amount by about 90%. In which case, you will sort of almost not completely eliminate the thing, but reduce it enormously. And what you got to do is be very drastic and very firm about these things. You can't be wishy-washy about this. You got to go in and say, you will not get this. Go away.
But I mean, let's say that would work, right? So, but then you'll have people who potentially bringing diseases into the country, and so they won't get access to the NHS, so we can't stop that, and that might spread amongst the population. You'll then have a situation where they're homeless, got no money, no food, and then crime goes up. There's always consequences. I mean, even if you reduced it by half, and you had 30,000 people, 20,000 people a year living without support, that in itself will create social problems. There's always consequences, right?
You will, but you can say to them, we will take you back to the country you came from, this war-torn country you came from, which isn't France. It's from somewhere else. wherever you want to go to, we will take you, and go back.
Okay. Again, that the international law-wise is like sending somebody back to a war zone or something is not the most humane, is it?
Yeah, but France isn't a war zone.
Well, do you know what? We used to be able to send them back to France before Brexit, and now we can't. But we had to take a quota. But we could agree on that quota. We had the right to do that. We were pretty much the only one that we could decide what the quota was going to be. But
well, stop paying them £500 million a year.
I agree with that. I mean, I think that you could train seagulls to do a better job than the police in France at the moment. So yeah, I agree. But so do you think that unless Labour get a grip on that one thing, it's a one issue country at the moment, and that is the illegal.
It won't be the complete solution, but I think it will be a major part of it. It will be a thing. What they're coming for is all these benefits we're offering them.
Yeah, I mean, there are other draws to this country because the benefits that they would get if they stayed in France are pretty much equivalent, and in some cases slightly better than here. But so there are other things that draw people to the UK that we would have to take into account as well, that they would have to be sorted out as well. But listen, I think you've hit on something here, and that is that Keir Starmer is willfully deaf.
Yeah, he is.
He's willfully deaf. He's stone deaf and tone deaf to the real concerns that people have. It doesn't make them racist, it doesn't make you a bad person, but you have concerns about just the sheer numbers of people who are coming into the country, and that puts our security at risk. We don't know who these people are. We could be at war soon, and if we don't sort out our borders, there's no point having a decent army or defence system.
We used to be able to fend off the Germans when they were trying to send off hundreds of thousands across the channel.
Yeah, we could kill them.
We can't send off a few
we can't.
Rubber boats.
We're not allowed to kill them, you see. That's the thing. We were allowed to kill the Germans.
Oh, is that a difference?
Well, I mean, because one was an enemy combatant and the other is a potential refugee. So I mean, we're not allowed to kill them.
You say a refugee. They're not a refugee because they're not coming from a war-torn country.
Well, some are. And the others that aren't should be returned. But that we've shown nothing but weakness again in that regard. It will be to his discredit, and in fact the whole government will fail if they don't solve this one issue. I think it's almost the most important issue in people's minds.
It's a crucial important to me. Yeah,
I think it is for a lot of people.
I don't want to pay my income tax to pay for somebody who's coming across the channel in a rubber boat to stay in a hotel in this country.
I mean, I understand. I completely understand, and I understand why so many people are so angry about it, and I completely get it. It's the system that is broken, and it is the weakness of any government to fix that system. It's nothing to do with, let's, destroy the gangs. That's absolutely rubbish, and we all know it's rubbish. It's just a delay tactic because they don't want to do the actual, real, hard work. Ken, excellent first call. Please do call again. I'm going to take a very quick break, but I will be back in a moment.
UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning to you. I'm feeling very self-conscious now in my shirt that Ken clearly hated, but anyway. It's Petrie here. I'm with you until the top of the hour, so it gives us about 10 minutes together. Hans has sent me this. I don't usually agree with your views and opinions on various political matters. I'd say that's really interesting to me because actually politically I hate them all. But anyway, but today you've summarised the catastrophic state of the Labour Party very well indeed. We've all seen the damage that's been done to our country by the socialists in just 1 year. I'm going to correct that as well, if you don't mind, Hans, because these are not socialists. They're not. I don't know what they are, but they're not socialists. And that's the problem, is that they're not socialists, is they've not done anything. I mean, they're just bland. In just 1 year, I shudder to think what things will be like by the end of Labour's term in government. Will the UK be totally bankrupt and the pound sterling and our savings and investments utterly worthless? Sadly, I've decided it's time for me and my wealthy colleagues to quit the UK. Goodbye. Hans. Oh, well, that's a shame. But thank you for that message. I think the problem is that they're nothing. I genuinely do. I think it's just, I don't know who they are. Do you, really? Angie has sent this. I love this. This is absolutely spot on. My son, who's in his 30s, has just started to watch the old Spitting Image series. Oh, I loved it. Looking back, love them or hate them, at least we had characters in power we could name and knew what they stood for. Absolutely. I think the scriptwriters would struggle with a sketch, never mind a series now. And I think that they tried to bring it back, didn't they? But the characters are not there. You're so right. These people were either, evil, but you knew what they stood for, or they were boring and you knew what they stood for. But at least we knew who they were, right? I have no idea who these people are. So I love that comment, Angie. I think you're absolutely spot on there. Kaz says, don't forget the free gear. This man is way out of his depth. He couldn't smash his way out of a paper bag, let alone the gangs. Lifelong Labour voter, but didn't vote for this shower. So there you go. There's Kaz, again, referring there to the weakness of these people. I mean, it is extraordinary to me. Let's go back to the calls now, and Andrew is in Warrington. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Petrie. How are you?
I'm extremely well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad at all. But what a plethora of topics, subjects. I spoke to your producer about the political game being like Monopoly, but I think your last few callers, Ken and Sheldon, have sort of elevated it to a different level. I can't understand anybody saying they are a Labour card carrier, because in my terms, or my knowledge, they pay for that. And why would you pay for a party who, I have to say, is very indecisive and don't talk about the good points, or the press seem to talk about their bad points. And as much as I don't despise the person, but I felt really sorry for Rachel Reeves crying her eyes out today, or,
she looked broken, didn't she? Oh, absolutely broken.
Honestly, I think there's a time we need to say, we're on the blue team or the red team, but honest to God, I really felt for her. I don't believe in what she's spouting, but
just on a human level, right? We're all capable of that. Yeah. Just on a human. Yeah. Anybody enjoying that is just not a very nice person.
Oh dear, and I think that really is the underlying thread of what your callers have been saying. It's not a pleasant time, really.
No.
And we know about immigration. If you're going to have a war with anybody, it should be with France, because you just need to bat them back, because that's the last place they've come from. We shouldn't be paying to because they don't declare the nationality.
No, but we're not allowed to, because without France's permission. Before Brexit, we could without France's permission?
Well, as I say,
we could and we did.
There's the Dublin Act, and I think we could. And I think that's really what people want to see. They want to see a strong political party or leader just making inroads. There's no point saying we're giving a country X number of pounds, millions of billions of pounds, or we're putting this in a border force team, and then nothing's happening. That's the despair. That's the incredulous act that we're all tutting about, And I think really they don't talk about the good that they do. The price of everything, as we know, is going up. But there's no parity across everything. Petrol goes up and down, as we've discussed, like a bride, and that's probably about the only thing that goes down in price.
And that's got very little to do with the government. What is interesting from what you're saying, Andrew, and what I like is the fact that, and I kind of said this in my introduction, is that they're not very good at storytelling. And by storytelling, I mean explaining who they are, where they're going, what they're doing, the good things that they've done. There's all this about deportation. This Labour government has managed to deport more people than the Tories did, but they never talk about it because they see that as being a bit dirty. They don't realise that actually would be a positive to say, look, actually we've deported this many people, and that is way more than the Tories did. So we are doing that, but they find that a bit grubby. So they don't. So we don't know who it's just a bit weak. Tell us what you're doing.
That's right, but you don't even make the comparison. Don't say, well, we're doing this because the other party didn't. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what they're doing. I'm interested in what they're achieving, and how they're going to make. I mean, let's just have a deep intake of breath. They didn't start off on a good foot, okay? No. With the winter fuel.
Well, they literally punched themselves in the face.
Absolutely correct.
For no reason. For no reason. It wasn't even a fiscal reason. It wouldn't even have saved that much. It was ridiculous.
Well, it didn't. I mean, the amount they were talking about is nothing in comparison to what they're,
nothing compared to what they've wasted on HS2 and computer systems and things like that. It's just pathetic. Yeah. I don't know why they did it. It was the most stupid thing I've seen.
That's what I mean, and I think they will trip themselves up continually after that unless they get a grip. And I thought it was very brave of you to declare your political interest. I mean, my late father always used to say, you never talk about religion and you never talk about politics. But hey ho, there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only there.
Here on Talk, and I love you to bits.
I'm only where I am politically because there is no, and I'm not a Lib Dem, but when it comes to casting a vote, I have to cast a vote. I refuse to not cast a vote. Right? Women died for me to have that privilege, so I will cast it in the only place that vaguely is not the other two. Basically,
but all I'm saying is,
I haven't really declared my politics. My politics is that I am politically. I hate all of them, but when it comes to the voting booth, I have to cast a vote. So I will.
Absolutely. I agree with you, but I thought it was very brave of you to do that.
Oh, thank you.
That's all I'm trying to say. It's no castigation whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed. After 14 years of the Tories, who, let's face it, were a chaos. And I thought, maybe just I would more hope than experience. Hoped that something might happen, and it just hasn't, and it's just not going to.
It is. And can I just finally say this? I just wanted to say that there was a pinch point for the Labour Party, and again, I'm not declaring my. I'm not playing my hand, if you like, when there was Ed Miliband and David Miliband.
That was a sliding door moment.
It was, and you know what? If we'd have had David,
history
think
would be
things
different.
May have been slightly different, but there we go. We'll never know, as you say, a sliding door moment.
I completely agree with you, and apparently the unions realised only after Ed took over that they'd accidentally backed the wrong brother. They thought they were backing. They thought they were backing David. It should have been David, and I think the country would be a very, very different place.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And people forget that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
History, or modern history, as I call it, gets forgotten about.
Yeah, we move on. We move on so quickly, and our memories are very, very politically very short.
Yeah.
But it's lovely to talk to you. Thank
you, Petrie. You take care.
You take care.
Cheers.
Lovely to talk to you. Thank you. Maxine has sent, Maxine in Maidstone has sent this message. I think the current government are totally inept, and I don't understand what their end game is for the country. That's my point. I've no idea who they are. I didn't vote for them, thankfully, but they are not Labour as I know them to be. Despite not voting for them when they won, I thought